All right, so we're back and ready to jump into another deep dive. This time, we're tackling a situation that's got everyone talking. The Philadelphia Eagles and the injury to their star quarterback, Jalen Hurts.
It's certainly a tough break for a team that's been soaring high this season.
Exactly. They're leading the NFC East, they've got Super Bowl aspirations, and then, bam, their quarterback goes down with a head injury in Week 16. So let's unpack what happened, the severity of this injury, and what it all means for the Eagles' playoff hopes.
You hit the nail on the head when you mentioned the playoff hopes. That's what makes the situation so gripping, right? It's not just about the injury itself, but the implications for the team's entire season.
Absolutely, and we can't talk about this without acknowledging the elephant in the room, concussions. It's an injury that's become a major focus in the NFL, and for good reason.
No doubt about it. The league has come a long way in terms of recognizing and addressing the seriousness of these injuries.
And it's particularly concerning in this case because Hurts is so crucial to the Eagles' success. He's their engine, their leader. He's the guy who makes things happen.
Exactly. Hurts is a prime example of the modern NFL quarterback, a dual threat. He can pick apart defenses with his arm, but he can also make plays with his legs, and that makes him incredibly dangerous.
He's a nightmare to defend against. And it was actually one of those incredible runs that led to the injury. Let's rewind to that moment in the game against the Commanders. Hurts takes off, he's scrambling, he takes a hard hit, and immediately, you could just see the concern on everyone's faces.
It was a scary moment for sure. The medical staff rushed to his side, and I'm sure the initial sideline evaluation revealed something that caused concern.
Because they took him to the locker room pretty quickly, right?
They did, and those sideline assessments are fascinating. They're looking for very subtle signs. Balance issues, disorientation, delayed responses. It's a quick but incredibly crucial evaluation.
And then it felt like an eternity waiting for news.
Oh.
And there was this brief glimmer of hope, right, when he came back out onto the sideline with his helmet on.
Oh, for a minute there, it seemed like he might actually return.
I thought so too.
But then the Eagles medical team, they decided to err on the side of caution.
Which honestly is the right call in these situations.
Absolutely. The long-term health of the player has to come first.
100%. And then came the official word, concussion, out for the game. So for those who might not be as familiar with the specifics, could you break down the NFL's concussion protocol for us? What exactly does that involve for a player like Hurts?
Sure. So it's a very rigorous 5-step process, and it's really designed to ensure a safe return to play. The first step is all about rest and a very gradual reintroduction of activity. So we're talking basic movements like walking at first.
So no diving headfirst back into practice right away.
Definitely not. It's a measured approach. Then, as the symptoms start to subside, they progress to light aerobic exercise, followed by sport-specific movements, but still no contact.
So still taking it easy at that point.
Right. And even if they clear all of those stages, they still have to go through a practice with the team, again, without contact, before they finally get the green light, that full medical clearance to play.
It's quite a process, and it really highlights how seriously they're taking these injuries now.
And it's a good thing. We know so much more now about the potential long-term consequences of repeated head injuries. We're talking about serious stuff.
Absolutely. Things that can affect a player long after their playing days are over.
Exactly. So the NFL's made huge strides, but this situation with Hurts, it really puts a spotlight on those tough decisions that teams have to make.
Because while his health is paramount, you can't ignore the fact that the Eagles are in a fierce battle for playoff positioning. They've got those 2 remaining games against the Cowboys and the Giants.
Massive divisional matchups.
Exactly. And those could be make-or-break games.
And the irony here is that Hurts was having a relatively quiet game passing-wise before the injury, only 11 passing yards.
Really? I didn't realize it was that low.
But his rushing, that was a different story. 41 yards on just 3 carries.
Wow, that's incredible. Talk about a dynamic playmaker. That's what makes him so valuable, so dangerous to opposing teams.
Absolutely. But now the pressure shifts to backup quarterback Kenny Pickett.
Big shoes to fill.
You said it. He came in, and to his credit, he immediately threw a touchdown pass to A.J. Brown. That was a great sign.
It was. But the question is, can he sustain that level of play over an entire game, over multiple games?
That's the million-dollar question. And the Eagles' offensive scheme, it's really tailored to Hurts' unique skill set. So it'll be interesting to see how they adapt their game plan with Pickett under center.
It's a high-pressure situation for Pickett, for the coaches, for the entire organization. Their playoff hopes, their Super Bowl dreams. It could all hinge on how this plays out.
Well said. So to sum up, Hurts' injury really underscores this ongoing challenge in the NFL, right? How do you balance player safety with the incredibly intense demands of this sport?
It's a tough one.
It is. And the Eagles, they're now faced with this difficult decision. Do they err on the side of caution and hope that Pickett can lead them to victory?
Or do they risk rushing Hurts back and potentially jeopardize his long-term health?
That's the dilemma. And there are no easy answers.
It's a tough call for the coaching staff, with huge ramifications for the rest of their season.
It really makes you think, in the world of professional sports where the drive to win is so constant, how much weight should be given to a player's long-term health? It's a complex issue.
It certainly is, and it's one that we'll be keeping a close eye on as the Eagles navigate this challenging situation. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, everyone.
And be sure to check back for updates as the story unfolds. There's sure to be more to come.
Absolutely. We'll be here to break it all down for you. Until then.